Well, good morning, folks, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Platinum Inside Passage. This is a program that we created back just after the pandemic in 2020, uh, because the cruise ships could not go into Canada in 2021 and a good portion of 2022. So my ingenious daughter came up with this plan, uh, giving our book guest from 2020 an opportunity to do the Inside Passage without the luxury of a cruise ship. So we talked to the people at Allen Marine who own the small boats, and we were able to secure getting those uh, chartered for 7 days. So that basically was the history of how this got started. But when you look at our boat, this is our boat. This is their boat, the cruise ships. So there's a big difference. We carry approximately 40 people on our boat. They carry 4,000 on their boat. But, so it's just a little different. But what we do is if you're doing this in conjunction with a land tour, let's say, for example, if you're doing the Grand Slam, so that would be 10 days on the land. And then you would fly from Anchorage, included in your trip, you would fly from Anchorage to Juneau. We're going to actually overnight 4 nights at a hotel in Juneau. The following day, we will go up into Glacier Bay, spend the day in Glacier Bay, come back into the capital city of Juneau. The following day, we'll go up into the Lynn Canal and visit Skagway. And then that night, we'll come down and overnight in Haines. I'm sorry, and visit Haines. The next day, we'll come back down the Lynn Canal and into Juneau again. Then we'll go over to Icy Strait Point, come down, and the next day we'll actually come in through Peril Strait, down into Chatham Strait, and into Sitka for 2 nights. So you're basically going to see the entire Inside Passage on this particular vessel. You will not be overnighting on the vessel. They're day trips, and then we'll overnight in hotels. So again, the first, I'm sorry, I had that backwards. This year we're flying into Sitka. So we're going to spend 2 nights in Sitka and then go over, cruise over to Juneau and then to Skagway and then overnight in Haines and then Glacier Bay and then back to Juneau. So basically, we're going to start down here. We're going to fly into Sitka, spend 2 nights in Sitka, and then come up into this area and into Juneau. And then we go up the Lynn Canal to Skagway, spend the day in Skagway, down to Haines for an overnight. And then we come down the Lynn Canal again to Juneau. And then we go up into Glacier Bay, spend the day in Glacier Bay, back to Juneau, and then fly home from Juneau. So Sitka, where we fly into, is really a beautiful city. That's known as Sitka by the Sea. It was also the original capital of Alaska when Russia owned it. So there's a lot of Russian influence. There's a lot of Tlingit influence. So it's right now it's basically a Tlingit Haida village, but there's a lot of Russian influence that we'll experience while we're there. This is St. Michael's Cathedral. It's a Russian Orthodox church. It's the largest Russian Orthodox settlement in the state of Alaska. It's also where the bishop resides and does his services here. There's also, we'll visit the Sitka Historical Park, where they have all these unique totem poles that we'll visit and see what the meaning is. So we'll have a guided tour through that. It's really pretty interesting to see what the heritage of the native Tlingit tribes are. That they're one of the first Alaskan tribes cultures in Alaska. We'll also visit their ceremonial center, or it's called a longhouse. This is where the Tlingit dancers will be in full uniform or full dress. It's very, very colorful and very, very enlightening. So you're going to get a really great understanding of the Tlingit nation, if you will. This is one of their hunting boats, whaling boats that they have, if you will. It's really a piece of art, and you'll become accustomed to the Tlingit heritage, if you will. So then we're going to take you out to the Rapture Center, and this is a settlement that they established for the rehabilitation of injured birds of prey. So, for example, if an eagle injures their wing on a power line, or somehow it's injured, they bring it back into the center. They do surgery on it, repair the injured wing, and then they nurse it back to health, and then release them back into the wild. So they do that with eagles, peregrine falcons, owls, etc. Then we're going to take you over to the Fortress of the Bears. This is kind of a cool settlement. It's the owners of this actually. What they do is they find cubs, brown bear cubs, coastal brown bear cubs that are abandoned by their mother. Their mother gets injured or lost or whatever. Anyway, they take these cubs and they raise them, and they have. I'm going to say they probably have a dozen bears out there. So we'll spend some time visiting them. It's really kind of a neat experience to see how playful these. I'm not going to say they're tame, but they're raised around people, so they're not the wild coastal brown bears that we see. But then we'll also take you out to over to we're going to sail over to Juneau, and in Juneau we'll visit the Mendenhall Glacier, which is really a neat experience. You go out, walk out to the waterfalls, go to the visitor center, etc. Then we're going to take you over to the Glacier Gardens, and this is just really a treat. And here you'll hear from the owners how the history of this got started, how they decided to plant these beautiful flowers in these upside down trees. I mean, it's really quite interesting to see. They have really beautiful displays all the way up. We'll take a tram up to the top of the mountain. You get some incredible views of Juneau and the airport from up on top. When we're in Juneau, because we're going to be there 4 nights, you'll be able to actually entertain with the locals. This happens to be the Red Dog Saloon, which is a regular tourist trap, if you will. When the cruise ships are in town, there's 10,000, 15,000 people around. We're going to go there after the cruise ships leave, because the cruise ships are all gone by 5 o'clock. So we come back off of our excursions about 5 o'clock. So we kind of have the town to ourselves. But there's a lot of neat little restaurants and bars like this that you can visit. The next day, we're going to go up into the Lynn Canal, which is one of the most beautiful treasures of the Inside Passage. You're going to see some beautiful lighthouses. You're going to see incredible waterfalls as we go up the Lynn Canal into Skagway. So we'll spend some time up in Skagway. There's a couple options that we can do when we're up there. We can visit the old Red Dog Saloon, or Red Onion Saloon, excuse me, which is one of the old brothels of Skagway. You can, one of the highly recommended trips is to take the White Pass and Yukon Narrow Gauge Railway up to Fraser, British Columbia. That goes up through the Chilkoot Pass, just a real beautiful area. Like I said, we'll visit the Red Onion Saloon and brothel, and then you'll have the opportunity to take the White Pass and Yukon Narrow Gauge route. And these are old style 1900 cars. It's all narrated. You're going to get a good narration of the gold rush history of 1898. Then we're going to cruise over to Haines. After a day in Skagway, we'll do a short cruise. It's probably less than an hour over to Haines, and we're going to overnight in Haines, Alaska. Now, Haines is famous for basically two things. One of them, there was an old military base there, a fort, and also it's the largest concentration of eagles in the wintertime. They all come up in winter in the Chilkoot Eagle Preserve. But it's a beautiful city, kind of nestled on the side of the Lynn Canal. So this is actually the old Army headquarters right up here. And these are some of the bunkhouses up here. They're still in existence. It's actually now been made into a hotel called the Housing Land Hotel. And we used to stay there about 30 years ago. Arnie was the owner, and they created a great experience for our people. But another neat thing to visit, of all things, is the Hammer Museum. Now, I don't know how many people have ever heard of a Hammer Museum, but they have every type of hammer imaginable there. We're also going to take you out to the American Bald Eagle Foundation. You'll see that. And then there's a Tlingit preserve out here where you're going to be enlightened again on the native Tlingit culture. Then we'll come back down the Lynn Canal, back into Juneau for the evening. You're going to just see this is the Lynn Canal as we're sailing down, some of the most beautiful snow-capped mountains, waterfalls, and glaciers as we come south down into Juneau. The next day, we're going to go out into Glacier Bay, and we'll spend the entire day in Glacier Bay visiting probably 7 or 8 different glaciers, watching them calve. Of course, all the marine life that we'll see: humpback whales, orca whales, sea otters, sea lions, harbor seals, etc. Interesting. So Glacier Bay is just a beautiful a day cruise in. So we'll probably get in there about 10 o'clock in the morning and spend about 3-4 hours up in Glacier Bay, looking at Marble Island and all the sea lions, etc. Whale watching, like I say, is a great experience. So the nice thing about having this private vessel is that we can stop anytime there's whales. So we stop, watch the whales. We've seen a countless number of bubble feeds out there, and we get actually really close to the whales. We can't go right next to them because of the federal regulations in Glacier Bay. But if they're around, we can park and they can come to us, which they do. So you're going to get some great viewing right off the top deck, or the enclosed deck is down below. So there's always observation up on the top deck. The lower deck is it's climate controlled, heated. That's where all your seats are, etc. But this is what's called a bubble feed, and they are actually quite common in Alaska. Up on the entrance to into Glacier Bay and both the Lynn Canal, there's a pretty high concentration of humpback whales. And when these whales, when they come upon a big school of bait fish, they dive below them and they make a circle and they release their air. And that confuses the bait fish. And so they all get into a tight ball. And then on command, all of these whales come out of the water with their mouth open. And that's called a bubble feed. It's really incredible. I've never seen one of those on a cruise ship, but I've seen numerous on both the Alaska Dream Cruise and the Platinum Inside Passage. So they're always watch for the birds, because when you see all the seagulls concentrate, that's a good indication that there's going to be a bubble feed, because what they do then is they pick up the stunned fish as the whales come out of the water. They stun the fish, and then the seagulls can feed them. So that's right at the entrance into Glacier Bay. We'll also make a stop at the Glacier Bay Lodge, where we actually get off of the vessel. You're free to go visit the lodge, and there's also a rainforest where you can do about an hour's walk through the rainforest. It's another great experience that you can't have off a cruise ship. This is the skeleton of a bowhead whale that they'll be explaining what the size, etc., is of that. So then we'll come back into Juneau for our last overnight, have dinner and breakfast, and then the next morning we'll head out to the airport. But on this tour, what makes it really unique is that everything is planned for you. All your attractions and activities are all included in the trip. All your meals plus one adult beverage at dinner is included. All your corresponding gratuities, your airport meet and greet. So when you fly into Anchorage to start your land tour, we meet you at the airport. When you fly from Anchorage to Juneau, we meet you at the airport and transport you over. So you're fully guided by one of my staff on both the land tour and the sea portion. All your luggage handling is included. All your sales taxes, fees, port charges, etc. As I mentioned, your flight from Anchorage actually to Sitka is included. All your catamaran gratuities, all the hotels and restaurant meals on the catamaran, and the best part is you get that incredible blue jacket, and you are going to have hundreds of people in Juneau and Sitka ask you where you got that jacket, and you tell them you paid $5,000 for that jacket, but you got a free trip to Alaska with it. So the jackets are blue and gold. Those are the Alaska state flag colors. The blue is for the blue skies of Alaska. The gold is for the gold in the hills that they discovered. Over on the left-hand side is our logo, and that's a Tlingit raven. The Tlingit culture has two top clans. It's an eagle is one, and raven is the other one. And then they have sub-clans like the bear, the salmon, the sea lion, the whatever. They're all sub-clans down. But the two top clans are eagle and a raven. And that's our logo that you'll see on our motor coaches, on all our material. Over on the right side is your name embroidered. And we'll put any name you want there. If your wife calls you honey and you want honey put on there, we'll put that on there. If she calls you something else, we may not be able to put that on there. But whatever you'd like to have is we'll put on there. So the first year you don't get any stars. The second year you travel with us, you get 2 stars. The third year you get 3 stars. And we actually have 2 couples that are going with us on the Iditarod this year that are going to have 7 stars on they're getting their 7th star. So that's what the jacket's all about. But the back of the jacket is the Alaska State flag. That's the Big Dipper and North Star, and then it'll say Alaska 2024 or 2025. And that's why people ask you where you got that jacket. And they'll offer you big money for those jackets, but don't sell it, because I've got a hidden microchip in that jacket and I'll track it. So, but they are just really incredible jackets, and a lot of people want them. So then we'll take you out to the airport the last day, get you on your last day airline flight, more than likely back. Let's see, Alaska Airlines and Delta flies out of Juneau. So you probably have to go Juneau, Seattle, and then Seattle back to your home city. We also have a lot of people that want to spend an extra day and maybe go fishing or go helicopter, jog sledding up on the helicopter, up on the Mendenhall Glacier. So we can arrange all that for and spend an extra day in Juneau. But if you go onto our website, kissalaska.com, all the information on this tour and all other tours are on there. There's a lot of videos on there that you can watch to fully understand and appreciate what this tour does. It is a great. It was a great fulfillment when the cruise ships weren't running. I don't know that we'll be running it next year or not, because now there's more of the cruise ships than ever in Juneau. You can be in there, and there can be 7 cruise ships in port. So there's about 12 cruise lines now that are going into Alaska. When I first started going up in 1983, there was 1 a week, 1 Holland America, 1 Princess. Now there's 12 a week that go up. So things have changed a little bit over time. But I see there's a couple questions in the chat room, and Paige, if you want to open it up for questions.
All right, those were actually me just kind of dropping the link for the itinerary and stuff, but we don't have any questions in the chat. I know we have some people returning that were on the Admiralty Dream seminar the other day. So as I unmute everybody, feel free to go ahead and ask questions.
I recognize that picture behind that gentleman. Is it Paul?
John, you sure are proud of that blue jacket.
I know.
And I've got a question. Use the example to tell people that we paid $5,000 for the jacket, but we got the trip to Alaska for free. If I spend $50,000, do I get 10 jackets?
Well, I have to calculate that with my accountant. And Joe, Elizabeth, and John, to see what they say.
We were kind of debating between the Dreamality and the Inside Passage. And my wife likes the Inside Passage due to the itinerary. And I'm just curious, other than the itinerary and the fact that on the Dreamality, we would actually be overnighting on the boat itself. Compared to this, we would be overnighting in on land. Are there any other differences besides those two things as far as let's say the quality of food or the food selection? Anything else?
Yeah, it's kind of like comparing apples and oranges. The Admiralty Dream, they're all sit down dinners. When you're on the boat, a lot of them are catered luncheons, so you have like luncheon sandwiches on the boat. On the Admiralty Dream, everything is served, order off the menu, served. There's really a big difference between the two. When I've done them both. I prefer the Admiralty Dream because it's not as long and tiring. For example, you're going up to Skagway, and then you're spending the day in Skagway, going over to Haines for the night, then coming back down the Lynn Canal and getting into your hotel. So you have to transfer from the cruise or from the boat to the hotel and back. So there's it's more tiring. On the Dream Cruise, you can go to your room and relax anytime you want. You're not under a schedule. On the Platinum Inside Passage, you do have a schedule that we have to keep. So it's more relaxing on the Dream Cruise.
Can you comment? And I know this falls under the category of personal preference, but as I said earlier, my wife seems to like the itinerary of the Platinum better. Can you comment about the differences between the two itineraries of the Dreamality versus the Platinum?
Well, basically, you're doing exactly the same thing, except on the Admiralty Dream, you're going into Frederick Sound, spending some time in Frederick Sound, and then going south down to Wrangell. But otherwise than that, it's identical as the same thing.
Well, and I think it's important to note too, like on the Admiralty, I guess I haven't been on the Platinum Inside Passage, so correct me if I'm wrong, Senior, but you know, we go out on the skiffs, you can go kayaking, you know, we do the polar plunge, stuff like that. I don't believe that's, you know, like you said, we're on a schedule, so those aren't really options on the Platinum Inside Passage, correct, Senior?
Correct. Yeah. Like the dib that you get off and go out and in Twin Sawyer Glaciers, and we don't have that luxury on the Platinum Inside Passage. I mean, they're both great, but if you were going to ask me which one I would take the Dream Cruise. I know it's more expensive, but at my age, I prefer it.
At your age, what?
I prefer the Dream Cruise.
Mm-hmm.
And
we watched excuse me, go ahead.
I've done the Dream Cruise, I think 4 times or 5 times, and I've done the Admiralty twice. I think we saw more wildlife and whales on the Dream Cruise. because of the time we spend in Frederick Sound. But they both do the Lynn Canal, they both do Glacier Bay, they both do Sitka, they both do Juneau. The difference is, the main difference is Wrangell. We go to Wrangell on the Dream Cruise with a jet boat, and Frederick Sound. It's the basic only difference. So the itinerary is pretty much the same.
And my wife is not here today, so I can't ask her what difference there was that she saw that made her think that the Platinum was preferable to her, but I can discuss that with her later. We watched another YouTube video yesterday of some people that went on a large boat, and they were very disappointed because they did not see nearly as much wildlife as they were hoping. And he said that they saw a deer, and they saw some eagles, and they saw whales from a very long distance. In fact, they even had a video of that. And I guess I know you've talked about the fact that we have a better chance of seeing wildlife on your tour because we're a small boat. Do you ever get shut out? Do you ever have trips where you just don't see anything? Or is it pretty much a guarantee that you're going to?
I haven't seen it in my lifetime. Of course, I'm only, I've only been doing Alaska for 41 years, but I've never had that happen.
Good.
Good morning, Mr. Hall. I'd just like to ask a question, and it's more clarification. You said you don't know if you're going to be taking Platinum next year. You would do 2024, which is when we would go if that's what we chose. But are you saying maybe not 2025? I just want clarification.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
That's just for the Platinum Inside Passage.
Correct. Yeah.
We're looking at it now, but we're making that decision, but it's a possibility.
Okay.
So I just, if people were planning on it in 2025, I wouldn't want to disappoint them.
So just another question then, as far as you go into Sitka and then you would have your hotel room for 2 nights. So you'd be able to leave your luggage and everything in that room for those first 2 nights.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And then we transport your luggage over to Juneau.
Yep.
And then you're there for 4 nights.
Okay, so I don't know exactly if I can describe this, but we were at a seminar in Bloomington with you. And then the other day, I think one of the video slides, you had a picture of like a mining operation. Would we see that on this Inside Passage, that area?
That is more than likely Kennecott copper mines on the National Park Tour.
Okay. Okay, so then I'm going to piggyback off of what the other gentleman was asking you as far as, like lunches and stuff. When we're on this tour, food isn't a big deal. We eat whatever, is available. But where do the lunches come from then if we're on coach?
Oh, you mean when you're on the boat?
No, like if we're on coach or if we're on the, oh yeah, true. If we're on the boat like heading up to, Glacier Bay or Lynn Canal or whatever.
Yep. So we have they have a caterer that actually prepares lunch for us, and then it's like sandwiches and what have you, and then they will serve them like when we get to Glacier Bay, whatever.
Okay, perfect. All right.
But I guarantee you, nobody starves to death.
Oh, mercy. It doesn't look like it. Oh. Well, I want to thank you too. My husband had to leave, but these are wonderful ways for us to be able to acquaint ourselves with the different tours, and we really appreciate it.
No, it's so many people go to Alaska, and unfortunately, they don't know what's available before they go. So they call a travel agent and say, I want to go to Alaska. So they line them up with a cruise, and they give them a little bit of information, but they don't tell them what they're going to miss because they don't know. You really have to understand how big this state is. It's 590 some thousand square miles. That's equivalent to 1/3 the size of the US. And you just can't do that in 4 or 5 days. You can't see it. So these informational seminars are really nice for us, and they're even better for our clientele, because they can learn what is available in Alaska and what they want to do. We have a wide variety, anywhere from the Iditarod trip to the Winter Wonders, to the national park, to the we used to have the Three Bears. That may be coming back if we can get back into Kaktovik, where the polar bears are. But it's a great way to learn what is available in Alaska. And are you in Bloomington now?
We're in Minnesota. We don't live in Bloomington. We live in Falcon Heights, but yeah, we're in Minnesota.
Okay. Well, I'll be back up there sometime in either late November, early December, doing shows in Bloomington, and can't remember the other city.
Oakdale this last time, but I don't know if that'll change since it was a hotel thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Any other questions, anybody? All right,
That's
well,
all
we'll
for
close it
me.
out for the day. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, and if you do have any questions, go on to our website, call our office, talk to Jenny, talk to Paige, talk to Deanna. They've all been to Alaska, so they can answer your questions logistically, not look it up in a book.
I do have a question. The big cruise ships that have a lot of people, where do they cruise to? Not the inside passages, right?
Yeah, they either start in Vancouver or Seward. And if they're going southbound, they'll go Seward to Glacier Bay, to Skagway, to Juneau, to Ketchikan, then a day on the inside passage, and then go into Vancouver. So it's a 7-day cruise.
So they're basically cruising outside of the coastline. Is that
no? They're doing the inside passage.
okay?
They go into Glacier Bay, they go up to Lynn Canal, to Skagway, they come down to Juneau, and then down to Skagway. I think the disadvantage on a cruise ship is, number one, you're with anywhere between 3,000 and 5,000 people on board. When you get into the ports of call, Skagway, Juneau, Ketchikan, etc., there can be 5 other cruise ships in port, 5 or
Right.
6, which equates to, 20,000, 25,000 people in port.
Right.
That's not experiencing Alaska. That's
Right.
what I
Right.
call the Disney experience.
Yes. People that have taken a cruise that I have talked with said they really wish they had more port time to actually see, these towns and experience a little bit more of the land than be on the cruise. So,
Yeah, the land is far superior to the cruise. The reason I say that is because the cruises have become so commercialized. Alaska
Right.
has really, the ports of call in Alaska have turned into be what the Caribbean was. I mean, they're
Okay.
all t-shirt shops and Diamonds International, Tanzanite International, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
That's not Alaska.
I'm leaning more
Alaska-
towards the Grand Slam Alaska and then possibly one of the cruises, but I'm not certain yet.
The Grand Slam is a great tour. I mean, they're all great. The Grand Slam, the Untamed Alaska is really incredible. The national parks is probably the best tour that anybody offers in the world of Alaska. It's longer, but you're covering all of the state from the farthest point north to almost the farthest point south. Plus, you're visiting all the national parks in Alaska.
Right.
So it's a
Right.
great tour.
Well, thank you very much. I've found these very informative.
Well, thank you for joining us. And like I say, if you have any questions, you can call our office, our toll-free number, and Jenny or Paige or Deanna, Kate, somebody will help you. And I guarantee you, when you call our office, they will answer the phone on the first or second ring. If it rings 3 times, I tell people they made a mistake, redial. That's all about customer service. And you
Okay.
never will have to push 1, push 2, push 3. We all speak English, and you don't have to have that option. And I promise you, you won't be getting somebody in Mumbai, India.
Great. Thank you so much.
Okay, folks. Well, thanks for joining us today. And like I say, if you have any other questions, feel free to give us a call anytime, and we'll get you an answer.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John.
You bet. Have a great day.